family and home by taking simple steps to stay safe in case of a home fire. Install smoke alarms outside each sleeping area and on each level of your home. Test each smoke alarm once a month and replace batteries at least once a year. Identify at least 2 exits from every room and practice escape routes. To learn more, contact your local Red Cross chapter or visit redcross.org.
Welcome back to Red Cross Radio here on KQV News Radio 1410 AM. I'm your host, Brian Knavish, and we're talking about the American Red Cross Service to the Armed Forces program today. We just got done talking to Mike Adamitz, who is the Emergency Services Director at the local Red Cross. And now I want to welcome 2 guests here to the studio. Pauline Duncan, who is the Service to the Armed Forces Coordinator at the American Red Cross. Welcome, Pauline. And Louis Luankesorn, who is a volunteer with the American Red Cross in a number of capacities. Isn't that right, Louis?
Yes.
Okay. And the topic today is the Service to the Armed Forces program. And Pauline, we had you on our last edition of Red Cross Radio, and you talked a lot about how the SAF program works. And again, just to recap, because it's something that not a lot of people are completely aware of how it works. Local military families, so anyone in southwestern Pennsylvania that has a loved one serving in the military who has an emergency such as a birth or a death in the family, calls their local Red Cross, who then gets in touch with Red Cross representatives where their loved one is deployed and can help with emergency counseling, help them verify that emergency so they can arrange for leave and different things like that. But Pauline, there's some other things that the Red Cross Service to the Armed Forces program does beyond these the on-call service and volunteers taking these shifts overnight and things like that. Can you tell us some of the other things that the Service to the Armed Forces program does?
Some of the other things that the Service to the Armed Forces program has done were provide events in the park for military families. Mm-hmm. We had a military day in the park where military families can come and have a fun day in the park with other military families and just relax and enjoy that opportunity to just kind of get together.
So it's actually military families from the area get together with or without their loved ones serving in the armed forces. Can they bring them if they're stationed here in Pittsburgh, or is it exclusively for those who have loved ones deployed elsewhere?
It's anybody. They can bring their loved ones as well.
Right. And so this is a chance, I guess, for them to meet other individuals who are in a similar situation, maybe can share some experiences of what it's like to have a loved one maybe serving overseas, and for the kids to meet each other and play and things like that.
That is correct.
Okay, that sounds like a neat program. And what else? What other type of programs does the Service to the Armed Forces program provide for military folks?
Another program that we have is our Veterans Affairs Voluntary Service Program. And what that is, it's Red Cross volunteers that are volunteering in the VA medical centers.
Right. And Louis, that's one of the programs with the Red Cross that you're involved with?
That's right, largely through the University of Pittsburgh Red Cross Club.
Okay, so through this program, the Red Cross actually has volunteers that go into local VA hospitals and work with the veterans?
That's correct. We have 4 VA medical centers within our region.
Okay, where are those?
We have one at Hines, which is in Aspinwall. We have our Highland Drive VA, which is located in Washington Boulevard, and we have our University Drive VA, which is located in Oakland, and then we also have one in our Butler County area. Okay,
so your volunteers will go to any of these local VA hospitals and work with the volunteers.
That is correct.
And Louis, what are some of the different either activities or some of the different jobs, so to speak, that these volunteers can have in the military hospitals? What can these Red Cross volunteers do?
There's a fairly wide range of potential areas they can volunteer in. The Pitt Red Cross members, some of them are going to volunteer as individuals. Some of them work at the pharmacy. Some of them work with one of the clinics specifically. Some of them just want to work back office. So individual volunteers tend to work wherever their interests lie. And then we have group activities. Some of those involve just going to the floors and just talking to some of the patients, the veterans who are at the Veterans VA Hospital. And others do activities with the veterans.
So it sounds like there is a wide array. So anyone who's interested in maybe giving back to these servicemen and women who have done so much for all of us here and in our country can volunteer hands-on, working with a veteran. It sounds like you say face-to-face, entertaining them and keeping them company, those sorts of things, or kind of behind-the-scenes roles.
Yes, there's a lot of scope for tailoring the volunteer experience to the person. to the volunteer. So whatever the interest is, we can find a way.
Right. And Louis, you mentioned that you're involved with the Pitt Red Cross Club, the University of Pittsburgh, and then getting them involved in this VA hospital program. How did that come about? How did you get the Red Cross Club involved, and how has the response been from the Pitt students?
The Red Cross Club has actually existed for some time, and they've actually been looking for other ways to be involved with the community at large. Mm-hmm. And then with other activities that the chapter of Red Cross has been doing for the VA hospitals, it seemed to be a natural fit. The real quick question is, what would that look like, since the University of Pittsburgh students is a slightly different demographic than the average volunteer at the Veterans Administration hospitals. Mm-hmm. We have to recognize that it has to be structured differently. Their schedules are different, and their goals are different.
Right, right. And so, Pauline, it seems like at the Service to the Armed Forces program, you guys have a really strong contingent of volunteers who take these on-call shifts to help the local families and things like that. But is this Veterans Hospital, the VA hospital portion of what you do, that's something you guys are trying to build and expand upon, is that right?
That is correct.
And how's that going? Is it something you guys have been able to continue to build on, and are there more and more opportunities for these volunteers?
Yes, we're always looking for volunteers, and the VA program is one of our new ones that we're really trying to get started. So we have only a few individual volunteers actively working, but we would like to grow that.
So you only have a few and you'd like to grow it. And now this time of year around Memorial Day is one of those times of year when people are tending to think of the military and the armed forces and the different things they've done for all of us in this country. So what would you tell someone listening today that maybe is interested in becoming a Red Cross volunteer, or just someone who's interested in general in helping to give back? Why should they become a volunteer?
For exactly what you said, a way to give back and say thank you for serving our country, and just getting in touch with the local chapter.
Right. And so anyone listening who wants to volunteer can call 412-263-3100, or they can visit the local Red Cross at swpa.redcross.org. Well, it's time for another break, so we're going to head to a couple brief messages from the Red Cross. You're listening to Red Cross Radio here on KQV News Radio AM 1410.
I'm Sarah Evans with a message from the American Red Cross. Did you know that the Red Cross provides service to members of the military, veterans, and their families? From communicating emergency messages in times of crisis, to outreach to the National Guard and Reserves, to veterans assistance and military hospital visits, the Red Cross is there for men and women in the armed forces across the country and around the world. Visit www.redcross.org or contact your local American Red Cross chapter.
When every moment matters and a life is saved, when someone gives blood, when a hand reaches out, that moment when heartbreak turns to hope, you're there through the American Red Cross. Down the street, across the country, around the world, you help save the day. Every day. You can help today. Support your local Red Cross.